So to really get the primary years program, or the PYP as we'll call it, we got to zoom out for a second and look at the big picture, its parent organization, the International Baccalaureate, or IB. This is the foundation for everything, the idea of creating engaged global citizens right from the start.
So what exactly is the International Baccalaureate? Well, think of it as a total shift in focus. Instead of only asking, what do students need to know, the IB is asking, who do we want our students to become? It's a system that's built to develop not just knowledge, but also the skills and the character needed for a world that is more connected than ever.
And right here, you can see that philosophy in action. This isn't about memorizing dates and formulas just for a test. No, the real priorities are things like critical thinking, learning by asking tons of questions, and always understanding how things connect back to the real world. This is the bedrock we're building on.
All right, so with that big picture locked in, let's zoom in on our main event, the Primary Years Program, or PYP. This is the IB framework designed specifically for young learners, from age 3 all the way up to 12.
This whole program is built to tap into that natural, amazing curiosity that young kids have, It takes their endless stream of why, and turns it into a super powerful engine for learning.
So what makes the PYP classroom so different? Well, for starters, learning is organized around these big ideas called units of inquiry, which beautifully blend subjects like science and social studies together. And, this is key, it focuses on what's called student agency, which is really just a fancy way of saying kids get a real voice and a real choice in their own education.
That word inquiry is the absolute engine of this entire approach. It totally flips the traditional classroom on its head. It's not about teachers standing at the front just handing out answers. It's about creating an environment where students can discover those answers for themselves.
So you're probably wondering, how does this actually play out in a real classroom? How do you guide all that curiosity into real, meaningful learning?
It all follows this really simple but powerful cycle. First, students ask questions. Maybe it's something like, why do bears hibernate? Then they investigate. They read books, they watch videos, they talk to people. After that, they reflect on what they've learned. And it all leads to this final awesome step, taking action. Maybe they'll create a little poster to teach other kids how to protect animal habitats. See how that works?
Now, here's another thing that's super unique to the PYP, the way it brings everyone together. The three-way conference is just a perfect example of this incredible partnership between the student, their parents, and the teacher.
And this is where that whole idea of student agency really comes to life. Get this, in these meetings, it's not the teacher reporting to the parent. The student is right there, at the center of it all, leading the conversation about their own learning journey.
Just imagine a 7-year-old confidently explaining to you what their goals are in reading, showing you the work they're proud of, and talking about what they want to get better at. It builds this incredible sense of ownership and self-awareness from day one.
And what this does, ultimately, is it transforms the whole homeschool relationship. It's not a one-way street anymore. It becomes a real team, student, teacher, and parent, all on the same page, all working together for that child's growth.
Okay, so we've got the process, the inquiry, the student choice, the collaboration, but what is it all building toward? What's the end goal? That would be the IB learner profile. This isn't about what students know, it's all about who they're becoming.
So the learner profile is basically a set of 10 attributes. You can think of them as the DNA of an IB education. These are the qualities that are meant to help students grow into compassionate, responsible, and active members of our global community.
So what are they? First up, they are inquirers, always full of curiosity. That curiosity helps them become knowledgeable as they explore big ideas. And with that knowledge, they become creative problem solvers or thinkers.
Then you've got communicators who can share their ideas clearly. They learn to be principled, acting with honesty and integrity. And that helps them stay open-minded, which means they truly respect different perspectives and cultures.
The profile also gets into personal character. IB learners are taught to be caring, to show empathy and compassion. They're encouraged to be risk-takers, or really courageous, willing to try new things and not be afraid of mistakes. And they learn to be balanced,
understanding that their physical and emotional well-being is super important.
And finally, the attribute that kind of ties it all together, being reflective. This is all about teaching them to look at their own work, to understand their own strengths and weaknesses, and to really take charge of their personal growth.
Which, brings us right back to where we started. This isn't just some framework for a school, it's a mindset for life. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Looking at all these incredible attributes, what's maybe one small way that all of us could be a more curious, courageous, or caring learner in our own lives?